Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live, we appreciate that. If you are watching us later, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We have audio and video versions there as well. You can also check us out on YouTube. Little minor delay this morning at 4-H Club Road, River Road, and 190. Not too bad. We're still looking at the same kind of thing. Lots of people working from home. Not a whole lot of traffic first thing in the morning, especially since kids are not in school at the moment. So please, if you are on your commute this morning, it's not going to be that bad. Although it is rather dreary outside, mostly cloudy, 30% chance of rain today. It's currently 70 degrees, 84 degrees is your high, 70 degrees again your overnight low. Yesterday, the governor held a press conference around noon, 12:30, wherein he said that the cases are expected to spike over the next couple of days as tests have started to come through, lots of them. This would be coronavirus tests. You're looking at about 1,000 that'll probably come through in the next 24 hours, and that was yesterday. So we'll probably start seeing the results around midday today. It's going to cause, as they said, they expect it to cause the number of positive cases of coronavirus in Louisiana to spike. Currently, we're at 280 total cases in 13 parishes, 7 deaths, 2 in East Baton Rouge. So right now, looking at kind of a spread fan from New Orleans, there's a few cases up in northwestern Louisiana, but right now it looks like a spread out of New Orleans. Of course, after the CDC issued new guidance on Sunday that was a lot more strict, the governor has taken a lot of aggressive moves to try to curb this. According to him, the federal government, including President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, as well as the CDC, have informed him that we've got about 2 really solid weeks to try and make it so Louisiana does not turn into Italy, and most places in America do not turn into Italy, where this thing just gets out, spreads rapidly, and overwhelms the hospital system. Of course, that is the concern. In Italy right now, they're having to choose among the elderly who lives and who dies because they have overwhelmed the hospital system. A lot of the deaths are due to underlying causes. Not all of them. Some people are dying from coronavirus that cannot be ignored. A lot of them are for underlying causes, though, but that does not change the fact that this thing sends people to the hospital. So they stressed at that press conference yesterday that people need to follow the social distancing rules. They need to stay home as much as possible, especially if they're sick. Call your primary care provider if you have a sickness or issue and see if you need to come in, see if you need to get a coronavirus test. Or perhaps they can do a video conference with you. You can show them your temperature. And they might be able to call in a prescription for you. So again, please remember, do not get real close to people. You're looking at gatherings of 10 or less inside the home. Try to keep public gatherings 50 or less. And we're going to talk about how that 50 or less is sort of affecting public meetings here in just a second. However, also want to remind folks that restaurants and bars either remain closed or a lot of restaurants are doing curbside service to try to keep the doors open. Casinos are also closed. Large gathering place type businesses are closed. That includes Airborne Extreme and Urban Air Adventure Park. A lot of these large companies that have large gathering areas, recreational hospitality, that kind of thing, are shuttering for at least 2 weeks to follow this sort of governmental mandate. Yesterday, however, Coach Ed Ogeron, the head coach of the LSU Tigers, did ask Louisianians, Governor John Bel Edwards has been saying a lot, be a good neighbor. Ed Ogeron used his own term. He said, follow the game plan. Right now, he said, we're all in this together. And he asked people to please, please, please follow the edict. 50 people or less at public gatherings, 10 people or less in the homes. Trying to get through this 15-day period, 2-week period. Please, please, please follow the game plan. Yeah, well, let me talk about something else first real quick. Attorney General Jeff Landry was at the press conference yesterday to reiterate to Louisianians that the governor is well within his right to implement these restrictions because it's more about saving lives and preventing the spread of the virus through the Department of Health during a declaration of emergency than it is restricting personal civil liberties. So he wanted to come up and let people know that this was about saving lives, and that he was, he and the governor go back and forth a lot. They get into it a lot. However, they are, together on this one, that, this is about saving lives, curbing the virus, or the spread of the virus. And again, the governor is well within his right. And, as Attorney General Jeff Landry said, he is not expressing, but holding on to a lot of restraint. That would be the governor trying to stay away from some of the more extreme measures to try to curb the spread of this, which is, kind of a big deal considering what you're seeing in Italy and China at the moment. But the governor is trying to respect personal civil liberties, so please keep that in mind. Talking about, businesses closing or shuttering for a few weeks and trying to deal with this, Garrett Graves spoke with the regional director who has Louisiana as a territory of the Small Business Administration. Now, a lot of you may hear SBA loan and get PTSD from things that happened during the flood. One of the things that Congressman Garrett Graves has stressed with both his counterparts in the Senate and the president's office is that any kind of SBA loan that goes out in the wake of this disaster needs to be a non-duplication of benefits loan, because we don't know this for sure, so I'm not going to use the word will, but there is a high possibility that large-scale grants are going to be coming out to try to kick the economy back into gear later on. However, a lot of folks are going to need SBA loans for the next few months to stay afloat. So they're going to be looking at that. Now, it may end up like Restore Louisiana did. If you took a SBA loan, kept you afloat, then when you get your grant money, it'll be applied to that loan. It will be interesting to see how they word that. But Congressman Graves is already working on making sure that this is a non-duplication of benefits type entity. Or type loan, so that it doesn't count against those folks who try to get grant money later should it become available. Now, tax deferment is also on the books. They're looking at a 90-day tax deferral through the Treasury Department. President Donald Trump spoke with Director Mnuchin, and they believe that they're going to be able to do those tax deferrals. You can read about that on our website, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Of course, that section is free. Also want to let folks know that we will be getting on the phone with Mr. Garrett Graves this afternoon, hopefully to get a little more guidance on this SBA stuff as well as the tax deferment. We're also looking to schedule a time to get on the phone again with Dr. Bill Cassidy, trying to learn a little bit about what the doctor knows about coronavirus itself, but also want to talk to him about some of these benefits of this disaster recovery bill. Try to simplify them a little bit for folks to get it out there to you. We're also going to put a story together on those two things. So please remember, if you are a business, they are working at higher levels to try to help you out. If you are a resident here and you have a favorite restaurant, see if they have takeout. We are trying to work with local officials and these local restaurants and businesses to see who's affected by the coronavirus and try to get their information out to the public, try to keep their business rolling here through this crisis that we're all facing. Yesterday was the first day of meal distribution from the 14 school sites here in Livingston Parish. It went very well. 300 plus, at least 300 meal service employees from the Livingston Parish school system showed up for work yesterday. As early as 6 a.m. trying to get all this prepared. 14,000 meals were handed out at 14 campuses. So that was within the span of 2 hours, 14,000 meals were handed out. If you want to know, and again, those sites will be set up next Monday and Wednesday for lunch. If you're looking for the list of those sites, if I go back far enough, how far back do I have to go? Apparently farther than I remembered. Here they are. Sorry about that. So if you're looking for those school sites, it's Albany Middle, Denham High, Denham Springs Junior High, Doyle High, Eastside Elementary, French Settlement Elementary, Holden School, Jubin Park, Live Oak High, North Corbin Elementary, 7th Ward Elementary, South Fork Elementary, Springfield High, and Walker Freshman High. So those are the places where they are handing out meals And again, 14,000 meals handed out at 14 campuses yesterday. Next week, there will be 2 lunch distributions. This lasts from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and they will be on Monday and Wednesday. Also, in school news, you're going to be looking for a broadcast from Walker High School at 2 p.m. They'll be talking about how they're dealing with their things through this closure, how they're dealing with staying in touch with parents, staying in touch with students. They will be bringing in folks from the elementary, junior high, and high school level, as well as Superintendent Joe Murphy, and as well as Food Services Director Summer Purvis, to kind of talk about the system-wide response to the coronavirus. So please tune in for that. We will be keeping an eye on that here as well and reporting on it for you guys. The Livingston Parish Library also announced that there would be no social distancing in their facilities. They are closing all facilities Monday, April 6th. They will be closing all facilities starting this Friday through Monday, April 6th. So the libraries will be closed completely. But of course, they do offer online distribution. Want to remind folks about government services. This is when we're going to get into that public meeting stuff. The parish is closed down completely. Any communication with the parish needs to go through the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. You can Google their phone number. Also, Denham Springs and Walker, both cities, have scaled back their administrative duties, working in shifts, trying to make sure that they maintain social distancing. But of course, all of your utilities will continue to function appropriately. Now, we talked about public meeting and how the 50 people kind of makes a problem for that. The City of Denham Springs and City of Walker have canceled their municipal meetings at this time. That would be their city council meetings, planning and zoning meetings, until at least April. Denham Springs has done the same thing. We discussed that. We're also going to be coming out with some stories for you guys for some of the hot button issues that will get postponed because of these cancellations. The parish has also at least canceled their ordinance committee meeting that would have been yesterday, and their parish council meeting next week. They are going to be looking for technological ways to get back on track in April, just in case this thing gets spread a little further. Now, the school board apparently at this time is still planning to meet. We'll find out more about that at 2 p.m. this afternoon to see if they are in fact going to meet and how they intend to make that work for the public, to allow public comment. That's the biggest issue. If you shutter your doors, you can't tell people they can't come to a public meeting. I know it's a disaster, but it gets into a little bit of public meeting law, wherein people have to have the ability to give public input. The school board is looking again into technological ways to get around that. If they figured it out, they will still meet this afternoon. We'll try to get that story out to you as soon as possible to let you know how you can communicate with the school board and how you can watch. Of course, we mentioned the parish council is trying to do that as well. A little bit of sport news. There will be no track championships for high school at LSU. They want to try to find another place if they can, depending on if they're able to complete their season and if this mandate is lifted in time for them to have enough meets to have a state track tournament. But as of right now, LSU has canceled that. That came down after an edict from the SEC stating that all spring sports, including championships at the college level, were canceled. They're just not going to have them. They're not even going to try. At this point, they're kind of, with some of the new information that we'll talk about to wrap up the show, they're starting to talk about football, so we're not sure how long this is going to last. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. And softball, again, they are hoping to get back on track just like everybody else. The LHSAA is still leaving the spring seasons open for these kids just to see what might happen. We're going to keep an eye on that as well. Want to mention that the governor continues to bring this up. We talked about it just a second ago in terms of folks starting to talk about, well, this might affect football season. They are saying, and they are as the federal government and the CDC, that while we have 15 days to try to make sure that this curve is flattened, and as people, acquire coronavirus or test positive for it, there will be space for them at the hospitals. Yes, there are plenty of people who aren't going to have to go to the hospital. There are plenty of people who won't even have a whole lot of bad symptoms. But there are people around them that could die from this, that could get severely sick. it is important to note that pneumonia can really damage your lungs. This is not, pneumonia is not a good thing. It's not something to mess around with. It is a component of COVID-19, which is the disease caused by the coronavirus, or at least this version of the disease caused by the coronavirus. So one of the things they're talking about is just, even though we have a sort of a 15-day social distancing kind of deal, where they're trying to keep people apart from each other, we could be dealing with the coronavirus through the summer. They're not really sure how long this is going to last. We know that some of the numbers, at least in places like China and South Korea, are starting to, at least, number of new cases are starting to drop off. Now, whether or not they can keep those new cases quarantined and not spread, that'll be another story entirely. We're kind of watching some of the places that did it before we did, or had to deal with it before America did, to see how things go in sort of the aftermath. It is interesting, though, if you kind of look online, one of the things that looks like in China is, their rivers cleaned up. There's no covering smog over North China. The canals in Italy are clear. You can see the bottom. There are dolphins and fish in it. So there's a lot of interesting things that this coronavirus did cause, but of course it has caused a lot of death as well. There's some interesting things that it also put out to the world, and that is, some of the pollution we cause can be fixed. It doesn't have to be permanent. So it's very, very interesting to see some of those pictures. I recommend you Google, what China was like when they're in full workforce and what it's not, and the canals in Venice, Italy, very pretty actually. Once they're not murky and you don't have all that boat traffic. One last time, going around with your traffic, of course, it's clear you're looking at some minor delays at Forage Club Road, River Road, and 190, as some folks are still going to work. However, most with no kids in school are either choosing to work from home, or please think about those folks that have been laid off and are trying to work through the state, through the Workforce Commission, to get unemployment benefits. It's currently 70 degrees, 84 degrees is your high, 70 degrees your overnight low. You're looking at 30% chance of rain. Yes, it is dreary. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry it's a dreary day. Don't shoot the messenger. We are going to be talking a lot about some of these issues. It'll be on kind of repeat to keep them on keep top of mind awareness for folks, especially that unemployment. Please call the Louisiana Workforce Commission, or go to their online portal and sign up. If you were furloughed or laid off during this time, they will work with you, try to get you at least some kind of money. Of course, the president is trying to discuss sending out checks to people. That is not set in stone yet. Still waiting to see what kind of amount, when, and if. So going to be keeping an eye on that for you guys. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us this morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Please remember, we're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Once a week in print on Thursdays. We are also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We have an app to go with that. We do have a coronavirus section on our website at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. I recommend you go check it out. What you're going to see is there's a lot of fluidity here in the early days. A lot of things not going to be set probably till next week, and even then they may change. So please, we encourage you to keep an eye on our Facebook page. Of course, with the way the algorithm works, you may not get things delivered as quickly or swiftly as you'd like. Please check out that webpage. Of course, we are updating it constantly with information as we get it out, or as we receive it, or as we find it, or as people talk about it. So please check that out. We hope you have a great day. We do hope you stay safe. We hope you stay well. And we will be back with you right here in the booth tomorrow morning with more information.